Good morning, or if you're on the East Coast, good afternoon. Hoping you having a good lunch. My name is Leland McFarland. I'm with Small Business Trends, and I'm trying something a little bit new today. I am trying my hand at a little bit of a podcast. I'm calling this the Small Business Spotlight, where I want to feature small business news, put a little spotlight on it, and maybe feature some stories that I found curated off of Reddit, and be able to maybe answer those questions. Anyways, let's get started into the news segment of this. And bear with me, new at this. So first off, I want to start with Adobe. Adobe recently, yesterday actually, announced that they are making some improvements, some changes to Adobe Acrobat. Um, One of those features is that they have now kind of connected Adobe Acrobat with Adobe Express. This allows the creation of assets for your Adobe Acrobat presentations a lot more quickly, a lot more efficiently. And they've also included a personalized podcast feature within Adobe Acrobat. So you could add in a whole bunch of information into what they call Acrobat Spaces. And this allows you to be able to put in PDFs, put in Word documents, notes, all kinds of, I've even put in websites, and it will grab all that information and put it into a podcast format. It's kind of cool. It allows you to be able to digest information a lot easier. Um, and another feature that they've added in just recently is chat PDFs. You can now talk to your PDFs, tell them your feelings, your hopes, your dreams, and be able to use that to be able to edit and to be able to change what's going on with it and direct it in where you wanting it to go. A lot better than manual editing. Basically, when it comes to Adobe, Acrobat is a lot different. I remember Adobe Acrobat 10 years ago, and it is nothing like what it used to be. And hey, if you're just joining us, my name is again Leland McFarland, Small Business Trends. And if you're watching, give me a little shout out, and I'll pop it, yeah, pop it on the screen. Don't mind me, I'm just a little nervous. First time trying this. Anyways, let's go on to our next news story. Workday has put out a new report on AI, and it's kind of interesting what they have determined. So 85% of employees report saving 1 to 7 hours a week using AI, which good gains. And that's the point of AI, to be able to save a little bit of time to take off those tedious tasks. But unfortunately, it doesn't stop there. Nearly 40% of AI time saved are lost to rework. You're having to check for errors, rewriting content, verifying that it's not putting in hallucinations. That's it's tedious. It's tedious going through that work and finding that error, and then it's like, okay, now I got to redo this all over again. 14% of employees, very low, are getting clear positive outcomes, and that's low, and that's kind of been the crux of the AI issues that have come out. You're getting, and I've seen this a lot with like law, in particular, to where lawyers will use AI and it will just make stuff up. It'll make up cases to, verify that something is, it's like, oh, I need a case to um, that's been done in the past to justify what I'm doing, and it'll just make stuff up. And having to be able to verify that can be a little bit of a daunting task. Um, and I'm talking with a bunch of other small business influencers, and one guy, John Lawson, great friend, he said that it is the crux. It's especially within these big companies, that they're not implementing it possibly correctly, and that's the true issue when it comes to AI, and especially with like these big companies. It's hard for a big Fortune 500 company to be able to just turn on a dime. But as a small business owner, you have that ability to be more nimble, to be able to turn and change what you're doing. And that is a great aspect about being a small business owner. And a lot of these big companies, they're putting in AI where it really needs to be. And that's just like what we talked about with Adobe Acrobat. One of the cool things about that I saw with Adobe Acrobat when I went to Adobe Max, I got to sit down with the Acrobat team, and they showed me their Adobe spaces, and you could set up rules to be able to counteract the misinformation that can kind of come from AI. And I tried to trip it up. And they put in a whole bunch of sales data about chocolate and all over the world, and I was like, okay, let's try to trip it up. What were our sales for dog food in Canada? It didn't have any information about that, but it just glossed over my request and just went on with normal sales data, which was really great to see, that it wouldn't try to be like, oh yeah, we totally got that data, here it is. No. And so trying to rely on the tools to be able to further get you into the correct information, picking, choosing, testing, that's what's really going to be important for small business owners. Our next story along the same lines. Here we go. AI, this is a Survey Monkey report. This one comes more into the marketing side. 85% or 93% of teams using AI in content workflows reported improvements. 62% expected AI content generation to keep improving. But there were some performance, caution. 52% felt uncertain, or felt they understand, or 52% felt that they understood their audience better than AI. You give AI a whole bunch of information, and it does its best to be able to go, oh, I think this is what your audience is. But from my personal view, when it comes to AI, I've seen that AI thinks a little bit more optimistically than necessarily you personally. And there's little nuances between different customers that can't be necessarily picked up by an AI. And so as your marketing team, and I'll repeat what good friend Even Taylor says, talk with your customers. You're going to get to know your customers a lot better, and be able to service them a lot better than possibly what AI could even do. 38% rate AI as fair or poor at personalization for customer-facing content. That's huge. Like 40% don't think that it's a really good match when it comes to actually personalizing messages for your customers. And I think that utilizing AI to get you 90% of the way there, maybe making the message and then you review it, and that can still cut a lot of time out of your day to be able to have most of it done, go in, review, and then send it out. That's what I do. I don't just blindly send out an email that AI writes. That's dangerous, and AI has promised things that it shouldn't promise. And so to just give that little review, that last little bit, it goes back to what that last report says. got to check it. Yeah, it's not going to just go out immediately. It's not going to save all of your time, but if it could save most of your time, that's where it really counts. All right. Last news is from LinkedIn. LinkedIn is saying that 1.3 million new AI-enabled jobs have occurred globally. There's a huge shift. They are calling for this new collar, basically an AI kind of driven collar. You know, it's not type blue collar, it's not white collar, it's AI collar. Jobs that are in and around the AI community. And I personally have seen it in my community. I live in an area where we have a ton of these Amazon data centers, and it has been a huge boom to our community in this area. There's been, oh man, I want to say that they've brought in close to 16 of these data centers, probably even more. These are just ones that I kind of know about. And it has brought in massive amount of construction jobs, massive amount of I mean, they are dying for electricians in and around this area. It is tough to get an electrician because they're all taken up by Amazon. And so there's HVACs, and this is just like the construction side of it. When you go into the data center itself, you have people that are running cable, who are swapping out hard drives, who are running the facility. It is a monumental, huge boon to the economy. There's a town in here, its annual budget went from, I want to say it's like 7 million to, man, it was a lot. It like 10 times increase, I think, at least. It was massive what it's done for this community. And there's just more and more jobs, unless the bubble bursts. Once the bubble bursts, there might be some down spiral. Let's see. Hi. I can't read your name, but I want to say hello as well. All right. That is what I have when it comes to the news. Next thing I want to kind of go, again, if you're joining me, my name is Leland McFarland, Small Business Trends. Trying this new, got to kind of feel it out a little bit, so please be patient with me. So I covered just the news, gave a little bit of a spotlight. Now I want to try things, a little different, is go over some Reddit stories. And this is kind of more, these Reddit stories, they come from small business Reddit subreddit, and businesses, they love to go in, they answer or ask questions, and then hopefully get some advice. So I'm going to put this here a little bit bigger. All right, fired my best employee and sales went up the next day. So this comes from Straight Ad. Is this an ad? Straight Ad 9769. I run a small coffee shop and had one barista who everyone loved. Customers asked for her by name. She knew everyone's orders. Super bubbly, super bubbly personality. I thought she was irreplaceable, honestly. But I started noticing a few of our numbers were off. Not hugely, but enough that I was losing sleep over it. Inventory didn't match sales. We were going through more supplies than we should for our ticket average. I initially blamed it on waste and bad training on my end. Long story short, I caught her on camera giving free drinks to friends and taking cash sales without ringing them up. When I confronted her, she got defensive and said everybody does this at a coffee shop, and that I should be grateful she brought in so many regulars. I had to let her go. Here's the crazy part. I was terrified we'd lose customers. But ever since she left, our sales have actually gone up. Not just a little, but little better, but like consistently better numbers. I think she was pocketing way more than I even realized, and her regulars were probably just people getting free stuff. My other employees seemed relieved too, which was unexpected. Apparently, she'd been creating drama and making their shifts miserable, but I was focused on the customer facing stuff and I didn't see it. Lesson learned, I guess. Sometimes the person who seems the most valuable is actually costing you the most, both in actual money. Glad I had some saved up from steak for situations like this. And team and morale. So yeah, this is, this happens from time to time. I've worked in food, and what the employee says to a lesser extent does happen. When you have employees, especially in the food industry, they're going to sneak a chicken strip. They're going to tell you, oh, I ate just like the cheapest hamburger on the meal, but then I got like the Big Mac. You know, these things do happen to very small degrees. But when it's something like this to where they're pocketing money, that's where the red flags are coming in. And yeah, you do need to find a way to nip that kind of thing in the bud. Um, when in listening to your numbers and trying to find where the hemorrhaging is coming from, and eventually this person did. As a small business owner, you got to keep an eye out for these kinds of things. Um, for this person, as blatant and as bad as this is, I would have gone to the cops, because that probably costed you way more than probably into the thousands, and that would help protect the next person. Get it on their record. It's going to come up in a background check. Hopefully the cops would actually pursue charges, and then the next time this person, because this person, you're going to fire them, they're going to go to the next coffee shop, and then they're going to do it again, or they're going to go to a Burger King, they're going to do it again. Pursue charges. That's the best thing that I could say for this kind of situation. All right. Realize my regular customer has been a competitor doing market research. So this is from According Fault 8. Man. I run a small commercial cleaning service in Phoenix, about 8 employees. Back in September, this guy started booking us for small jobs, maybe twice a month, always different locations. Nice enough dude, asked tons of questions though, like what products we use, how we price our square footage, what our turnaround times are, stuff like that. I figured he was just one of those detailed oriented clients. Recently, at a local business networking thing, and I was at a local business working thing, and someone mentioned that they just hired a new cleaning company. I asked who, and it literally was the same guy. Turns out he's been running his own cleaning business the whole time. Just started in August. All these jobs he hired us for were him basically taking notes on our entire operation. He even asked me once about our employee retention, and I asked him we give small bonuses when we hit quarterly goals because it keeps people motivated. Now I'm wondering if he copied that too. The whole thing has me stressed. And I'm glad at least that I have some money saved aside. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking this and the last one might be an ad. But it's a good story. Now, competition is always going to happen. People are always going to be uh, snooping on your business. People, I mean, if you're going to have a hamburger joint, you're going to go to the next person over. You're going to see what they're selling, how their service is. Have a gas station. new guy who owned a gas station. He would call up every day the competing gas station down the road, try to match his gas prices to the gas station down the street. It's a part of a business. The best thing that you can do is to make sure that you are making the best service that you can. Um, Making sure that your online presence is there, making sure people can get you. Your website is there, you look professional, and you're doing a great job. Um, because that's something inherently that is just you. You can't copy. I mean, you could always try to do your best. That's the best thing I can do is just do your best, work hard, and don't worry too much about the competition, I guess. You know, they're always going to snoop on you. There's 1,000 tools out there to do that. 200 left to my name, waiting on estimates to close. What are my options? This one's a little heartbreaking. So this comes from Rots. I am a small business owner and currently have about $200 total across my personal and business banking accounts. Over the last 6 months, my business has slowly eaten away at my savings while I try to get momentum back. I have several estimates out right now that could close before the end of the month, but none are guaranteed. My combined personal plus business expenses for the month are about $4,400, and if nothing closes in time, I'm going to be short. I'm actively following up and doing everything I can on the sales side, but I'm trying to think realistically and not rely on maybes. What options should I be considering right now to get through to the next couple of weeks before bills are due? I have $12,000 owed in business debt, and I already have 3 maxed out personal credit cards. I have two $10,000 profit per month. I had two $10,000 profit months in June and July. So I know there is money to be made. Any advice from people who have been here before would really like the help. This this is hard to see. I mean, this is the beast when it comes to business. It is feast or famine sometimes. And sometimes you have low months, sometimes you have high months, and this guy had a couple of high months, and now he has a couple of low months. Um, and in those cases, you may need to potentially find other revenue sources, and that may be going down to Express Personnel and getting some temp jobs to bring in a little bit of extra money. This may be starting a more consistent, reliable type of income business, or diversifying your business. I'm always really good about, or really on diversification. Keeping yourself into one path is a surefire way to find yourself in hot water when that one path, that one way, kind of trails off a little bit. So finding extra avenues to gain in a little bit of extra revenue, it's always best. All right. Last question. DIY website versus hiring a pro when starting a trade business. All right, let's get into this one. So I'm launching oh wait, this is from Weird Director 2973. I'm launching a solo construction business and debating how to build a website for my business. Some people recommend pay monthly web design so you could deal with the tech, so you don't have to deal with the tech. While others just say use a web building site free and upgrade later. My concern is credibility and getting found locally. If I start with a basic DIY site, is that enough to bring in early leads? Or does a professionally built site actually make a noticeable difference? I'd love to hear your real experiences and not sales pitches. All right. So before I did all this small biz trend stuff, I actually worked at a marketing company, and we built websites. Professional um, websites, and they look nice. We had a really awesome designer. Sometimes we would integrate like the building into the website. It looked beautiful. Way more work than they are now, because a lot of websites that are built now are a lot more simpler. Um, and they cost a lot of money. They cost usually a lot of money. And anytime that you're going to work with a professional, I mean, as a construction person, you're spending, people are spending a lot of money to be able to have you work with them. I would just go with the DIY to begin with. I mean, if you get bigger and you want something a little bit more professional looking, go for that. But a lot of these DIY sites out there are actually pretty good. They're going to give you something that is really nice as long as you go along with the templates that they have there. If you start going a little crazy with the designs yourself, that's when things get a little wonky. But as long as you stick with the templates, you're going to do pretty good. The main thing is establishing your domain and also email. You don't want to be emailing clients from a Gmail account or a Yahoo account. You want ABC Construction, John at abcconstruction.com. That's going to give you a lot of validity. And also, the big one, setting up your Google business profile, making sure that people can find you by just typing in your city and construction. And then from there, if you have a website, hey, great. That adds just that little bit of more validity. You could show just a place to put where your pictures are. This is the kind of stuff that I do. That's what you need to do. Sorry. So finding, I'm a big, huge supporter of Zoho, especially if you're starting out. They are a really good priced website. They have email, and then if you're doing construction, I mean that you can invoice your customers through Zoho. You can do bookkeeping through them too. So I mean, there's a lot of services there that you can kind of use to kind of start out, and it's really inexpensive, especially if you're a solopreneur. They actually even have a service called Zoho Solo. Really awesome. Anyways, that is what I have for you today. I'm going to be trying to do this every Tuesday and Thursday. So if you're finding me naturally, you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. On YouTube, hit that bell, get notified when I'm actually going live. Anyways, thank you for listening. Thank you for being a great audience. And until next time, hopefully your businesses are successful.